Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of art. It's the Tenant Podcast. I'm Todd Pearson, coming to you from the 40 West Arts District in Lakewood, Colorado, and joining me from his studio on the Road of Enchantment, my partner, my friend, the one and only Wes Brown.
Oh my God, Todd, they let us keep doing this.
I know.
I'm surprised the Trump people haven't knocked on the door and said, you got to stop. You're fired.
Or they just take you away.
Or ICE comes and gets us and takes us. And we're in South Sudan doing the podcast.
Exactly. Or the of course, Florida Everglades.
Remember the days when we were like number one in, where were we number one at in Africa? Art podcast, number one art podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It might have been the Sudan. I know it was a place you probably don't want to go. It wasn't the Sudan. It was, those days are fun.
I'd have to look it up, but yes, we were number one art podcast somewhere in Africa at one point.
Right.
I don't know if that's actually the case anymore.
We'll have to check.
Yep. I'll have to get back to you.
And like I said, we should go and travel and see our peeps, but I know they like to kidnap people there. Whatever country that was at high end, like according to the CIA fact book, it was like, yeah, you may not want to visit, so except for Wes and Todd, feel free, go visit, spend a few weeks, mingle with the people.
We'll be the poster children for what not to do on a podcast that get you deported.
That's right.
How did we even get into politics already? Like, how did that even happen?
I thought we got that out of our
system yesterday. Yeah,
it's part of the AI.
I know, and it's AI. Good word, AI. AI couldn't even fix my phone yesterday because Siri stopped working, and I'm at an age where like I turn off stuff all the time without me knowing it in my pocket, and then I'm like, why the hell is this not working? So I Googled how to fix my Siri yesterday, and AI couldn't fix it. I had to go deeper. I couldn't go just into the regular like
you had to
Google
go in the
blurb.
Dark web, huh?
Yeah, the dark web. There you go. But I finally figured it out. Barb took my phone to try to fix it, and I was like, God damn it. If she figures this out in like 2 seconds, I'm going to be really irritated, you know? Like if she has, a handle on the technology that I don't, but she couldn't figure it out either.
Oh, good.
I realized. So if you turn off your Siri, it's no longer in search in Siri. It's Apple Intelligence in Siri.
Oh, sure.
That's where you go in your settings.
That's smart, right?
Yeah.
Intelligent.
Pro tip.
From you Todd heard it Pearson. Here on the Tenant Podcast.
On the Tenant Podcast.
Get you all your Apple tips from there. That's what I would say. Macintosh or Cuties. I don't, Galas or Ambrosias. Which apple's best for you? Those are the types of apples, just in case you didn't know.
Thank you for sharing that.
Ambrosia apples are actually really good. And I don't know if it's because my daughter's named Ambrosia. And one time I went to the store and bought Ambrosia apples, and I took a pic of it and I sent it to her.
Said, and did she appreciate it?
Yes.
Your dad humor?
Yeah. She gave me a heart.
Nice.
That's
what daughters do. They humor us.
She probably rolled her eyes first, but
that's what my daughter would do.
And my granddaughter is turning 13. Well, she turned 13 on the 7th. We get to hang out with her on Thursday. Well, tomorrow as we're recording. And so that'll be exciting because now she's a teenager. Yeah.
That'll be fun. See how that shakes out for you.
Right.
All right.
She can fix my Siri.
Should we get on with this?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I miss about having kids around.
They can fix shit.
I was thinking yesterday, I was like, God damn it.
Where's
my
Kira?
Kids have flown the coop, and I no longer have my IT people to like fix this, and I'm not going to be that dad or, that guy calls up his kid. Hey, how do you fix that? No.
Anyway, hi, Kyra. Hi, Kira. I know you don't know each other, but you're both in my realm, and I get your names because I'm old. So there we go. Get them mixed up. That's what can I say.
All right.
Let's do this.
Hey, we have a special announcement before we get into the interview.
I'm excited.
People are wondering if we're actually have an interview this week. We are bringing back Art and Ag for its 4th year. Fleischer Family Farm, in conjunction with the Tenant Podcast, present the annual art event, Art and Ag, Saturday, September 20th from 10 to 4. come out to the farm located at 2005 South Zephyr Court in Lakewood in the heart of the Southern Gables neighborhood. Experience this magnificent farm, buy some farm fresh produce, and check out beautiful art and support local artists. Stay tuned to our social media for more details. And in the meantime, check out the Fleischer Family Farm website at fleischerfamilyfarm.com. You can also find them on Facebook at the Fleischer Family Farm, where he always posts all the goings-ons on the farm. And he tells you what kind of produce he has for his Saturday market. All right, you ready to go?
Let's do this.
You know where we're headed this week?
I think we're going, let me think, Trinidad, Colorado. We've been there a couple times before. We got a special guest. I'm excited. She's got 2 little furry friends. I'm excited to hear their names. And yeah, Trinidad.
That's right. You got to load up the car, the kids, the dogs, point your car south, and we're headed to Trinidad. Last stop before Raton Pass, before the beautiful state of New Mexico, to chat with our next guest, Sarah Boston. You can check out Sarah's work at her website, sarahbostonfineart.com, and you can follow her on Instagram at sarahbostonfineart. Sarah, finally, you had to weed through all that just to get to this moment.
It's fine. I'm being harassed by a dog, so
at least you have something to occupy your time while us 2 knuckleheads, talk away.
Is that Coda?
Yeah, this is Coda. He is wanting all the pets right now.
And what's the other one's name?
Ziggy
and Coda.
Ziggy Stardust.
Oh my God. Really?
He plays guitar.
Nice.
I apologize for that.
That's awesome. I love it. Like, that's right in our age group too. I'm surprised you even know who Ziggy Stardust is. So.
Oh, I love that song. I love Bowie.
He is.
I almost named him Bowie, but
yeah.
But Bowie's a good name.
It is.
Ziggy,
but my son said no. He made me. He chose Ziggy. So.
Okay. Well, he's got good taste too.
Yeah, that was a good compromise.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to answer this, but what's your son's name?
John.
Very good.
Yeah.
I want to kick this off, like we do often, by having you take a moment and describe what kind of art you do and what mediums you work with or work in.
I mostly do portraits of people and animals. I prefer people, but sometimes I will do some animals, like the whole Western art scene. Like, a lot of people want cows and bears and stuff like that. So I do a lot of that, but my heart's kind of in the people portrait area, I guess, mostly Native Americans. And then I do oil paintings. I haven't been doing oil for very long. I haven't been painting for very long. I was a graphite artist for many years, and then finally decided I was sick of, well, it's kind of funny because I was sick of putting stuff behind glass. And so I wanted to get into oil painting, but I had 3 kids at home and didn't have studio space, and I didn't want to have, the toxicity of oil paint, but I'm way too slow of a painter for acrylics, and watercolor just can't control it enough. So I wanted to do oil, but not the good time. So I went with chalk pastel, which turns out you still need to put it behind glass. So I didn't really, get away from that, but I was able to learn color. I was taking a lot of the old photographs, old black and white photographs, historic photographs, and turning them into colored portraits. Now I'm finally, the last few years, have the time to move into oils.
How long you been doing oils?
I think it's getting close to 3 years now.
That's pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So when did you start with graphite? If you don't mind, I'm sorry, Todd, I didn't mean to cut you
go
off,
for
buddy.
it.
When did you start with graphite?
The first super cool drawings that I have of mine still. I was about 5.
Okay. So
Uh,
you started really, really young.
oh yeah. Yeah. I've been drawing as long as I can remember.
Wow. I,
Mhm.
I seen some of your graphites on your website, and oh my God, fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then I noticed that most of them are Native American past chiefs, some of them from
Mhm.
Little Bighorn, Sitting Bull, and some of those. How did you pick that as a subject?
Well, I grew up in Great Falls, Montana. So Charlie Russell isn't where my interest started, but I think just the whole Western art culture from Great Falls, I was sort of drawn to it there. But I also have a lot of Native Americans in my family,
Oh, okay.
and I thought I was Native growing up. um, and so, like, I was always in Indian club and, all that stuff. And making, doing beading on the loom and making dream catchers and all kinds of cool stuff as a kid. And so I just always drawn to Native American culture, going to powwows and stuff. But
Yeah.
I also my aunt Cheryl Keekler was a artist, a Western artist, and she mostly did Native American paintings. She did do some like trappers and cowboys and stuff, but and some wildlife. But her Native Americans are what I was really drawn to. And so as a young kid, I was always like, that is like, I want to do that. I want to be like Cheryl. Then just going to the Charlie Russell Museum and seeing all the Western art there, and um, just really wanted to be in that lane.
Yeah.
So you made this decision that you wanted to be an artist at this very young age.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My both of my parents were artists as well. And not that they taught me anything because so my dad actually passed when I was 5.
Mm.
And he was an artist his whole life as well. My grandma had all of his drawings still when she finally had to move out of her home and had to move into a retirement home. And so I have most of them, but they are really good, like way better than I ever was as a little kid. But he did get an award when he was 13 for an elk drawing that I have on my wall. And so it was back in 1972. He drew an elk, and then it got to be displayed in the Russell Museum. I mean, I always thought that was super cool, but
Right. Yeah.
he just did all these sketches all the time, and I don't believe he really got into painting. I know his brother did, but my dad mostly did like pen sketches, and then my grandma just had them all over her house. So I was always looking at those as a kid, tried to draw just like, trying to emulate him. And then she had a lot of my Uncle Dane's paintings all over the house as well. Well, and then her sister, Cheryl Keekler, her paintings were everywhere in my grandma's home. So my grandma and grandpa had a desk that had a glass top. And underneath the glass, they would put all of the just photographs that Cheryl would take of her paintings. And she'd send them to my grandma. And so she would just slide them all underneath the glass. And so I'd always just sit there, and one of the drawers in there was just full of paper and pencils and, just art supplies for kids. My dad still had some sketches in there from when he was younger. My grandma just had stuck those in there. And even maybe he doodled a little. He was only 30 when he passed.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I mean, maybe he was just, doodling on them and they were in there. I just remember always seeing those as a kid and then trying to copy him. And but I remember sitting there at that table and always trying to draw Cheryl's paintings. They were obviously not as good, but yeah, I think I just really kind of fell into it that way. And then my mom, when she was a teenager, was always drawing as well. And I had found her old sketchbooks probably around that same age of like 5. And she would do like a whole page of lips and a whole page of eyes and, a whole page of noses. And so I was always trying to copy that as a kid. And so, yeah, it's not like she was teaching me anything, like hands-on teaching me, but it was just the little things the little pieces they left around. I would just, I just was so in awe of everything that everybody could do around me. And I just wanted to be able to do that as well. So, yeah, I just copied them a lot.
So did you have any formal training in, like, let's say elementary or high school? Nothing?
No, never.
Wow.
Never.
Completely
I did actually
self-taught.
just recently take my first art class with Thomas Blackshear. He just does these little studio classes, and I must have started that just a few months ago. I went to one, and I don't particularly do like line drawings. I'll just do sketches. Actually, I'll show you this one because this one, I was just working on this while I was waiting for you guys. So
Wow.
I'll just do a sketch on a canvas. I won't like do an actual line drawing because I feel like that's a waste of time, even though I know it's not. Thomas has said it's not. But my friend who owns the OB Joyful Gallery, Nicholas Reddy, he said, just do like 3 sketches and bring those to class. And then, Thomas will look at them. And he was like, what is this? What are you doing here? And I'm like, oh, well, Nick said do these line drawings. And he's like, dude, this isn't right. You didn't do it right. And so he's like trying to teach me how to do a line drawing. And I was like, this is my first class. This is my first art class. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's funny.
And then, and he didn't know who I was. It was my first time meeting him. And he's like my favorite portrait artist. So I was like super starstruck even going in there. And, but it was just really funny because he picked me out of everybody, and he just thinks I can't draw or anything. Cause I mean, I basically just did like an outline because I'm like, how do people, well, I used to work in a tattoo shop when I was like in my late teens. And so I thought, oh, a line drawing. Okay, you just do this line drawing. It wasn't the same. He scolded me. And then when he was showing me how to draw, I was like, well, no, I know how to do it, and he's like, well, if you don't get this line drawing right, your people aren't going to look like people. And I was like, well, I mean, I do okay. I do. I was like, let me just show you what I do. And then I showed him, and he was like, why are you here? He like tossed the pencil.
That's
and
awesome.
He's like, this girl tricked me. I'm up here trying to teach her how to draw. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I just didn't know. I just don't do line drawings. I apologize.
So the same result, but different paths to it.
Yes, but I am trying to do his methods because obviously he's, more advanced than me, and I really would love to learn how to do more what he does. So I'm trying, but then I didn't do it with this one. Darn it. But yeah, so I have now taken a couple classes.
And are you enjoying it?
Oh, absolutely. There's actually one tonight that I didn't go to because they're in Colorado Springs and it's a drive. And then I always get back so late because then I end up going out to dinner with Thomas after, and it's a great time. He has the best stories, but then I get home at like 1 or 2 a.m.
Right.
So, but yeah.
So you're impressed with his work?
Absolutely. I've been a huge fan of him for many, many years. He's been just my absolute favorite portrait artist for probably a decade.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Are you a routine person? Like, do you have a set routine as far as you get up in the morning and you have a certain part of your day that is allocated to creating or doing whatever you're working on?
It's mostly the whole day. I get up and I get ready for the day. And I basically sit down and start working immediately. And I do it like I take a couple breaks. My son is almost 16, so I only feed him dinner. He can do the rest.
You're on your own.
I've got two kids who are adults as well. So I'm just like, I'm almost done parenting. I don't I don't want to keep making, I don't want to do a lot anymore. So I'll make him dinner. But so I definitely stopped for that. I do help out over at the Mitchell Museum, the AR Mitchell Museum sometimes. So I'll go over there. And sometimes I'll go over there and just paint and kind of sit there and like kind of next to like Cody Keel's gallery, Keel Fine Art is within the museum. So, and I'm represented there. So I'll kind of sit there and paint so people can see that and kind of keep an eye on the gallery and stuff. But for the most part, I am at this stage in my life, I am just doing art from the time I get up till the time I go to sleep, which is usually about like 9 to 9 at least. Or not, sorry, not 9 to 9. 9 to probably midnight.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So
I wish it was only 9 to 9.
you said you're a slow painter, so or drawer or sketcher.
Mhm.
So talk about that. How long is it, other than it takes you forever because you're, X number of years, right? How long did it take you to do that painting, right? And it took my whole life. But
Yeah.
when you're working on a piece, can you bang out a bunch of them, or does it take time?
It depends on how excited I am about it. And
Mhm.
I will tell you, I am getting faster. Well, this sketch here that I did, I probably did that in like 15 minutes while I was just
Wow.
sitting here waiting for
Dang.
our time. And then, because I'm trying this new thing where I want to get faster. And so I feel like if I just do some sketches and then do like just not expect that I'm doing this painting for $1,000 or something. Like I'm just gonna do this painting and maybe I'll sell it for $100. I'm just gonna put it up on social media and be like, hey, does anybody want this? Maybe I'll even auction them or something. I'll be like, I'll start this at 100. Does anybody want that or want to pay more than that? Whatever. And we'll see how that goes. But I put too much pressure on myself, I think, with my art. And I have these really high expectations. And I think I could learn more and speed up and just not care as much if I could be a little more free and think $100 piece. Like it doesn't have to be everything. I just want to make some marks and see where this goes and think of it more as like a study than, which is not what I ever do. Like every time I try something like this, I'm like, no, it's worth something. I have to spend 10 hours on it. But I'm not allowing myself to do that.
You're a bit of a perfectionist, are you?
Oh, yes. Yes. So I am working faster now. Like just in the last uh I don't know, couple months, I feel like I've started working slightly faster. And I'll show you this painting because I just finished it the other night. I think I did this in 4 days total.
Wow. That's
I
beautiful.
saw that on your social media. That is a beautiful
Yeah,
piece.
thank you.
What's the name of that one? Do you name them as you go,
In
or
the garden.
in the garden? Okay.
Yeah. Because I started this, I did it for the Broadmoor art experience
Hmm.
last weekend. And I started it the day before. So I worked on it. I guess I didn't work on it. It wasn't the day before. I worked on it Thursday and then I drove there and stuff on the 4th of July. But so I worked on it Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then I finished it on Monday.
Wow.
And that is pretty rare for me for a 16 by 20. I feel like normally that would have taken me a couple weeks.
Right.
There's so much detail in there. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
And that's what I really love about your work from the moment I got to see it in person. I was like, dang, there's so much detail and you understand light, which is to me as a photographer, that's really important when I'm looking at painting. I'm always assessing like how people are painting light, you know?
Mhm. So I've also recently, and I think this is one of the reasons why I'm speeding up, is I'm trying to do a little more with a palette knife, for the texture and stuff. And I was going to put clouds in the background of this one, but then I thought, well, that'll just take away from the flowers. And so just I thought, well, let me put some texture in there with the sky, and I was just going to do the building next to her or the garden wall or whatever it is with texture. But then I just kind of last minute was like, let's try this. And I like it. I think it turned out nice.
Oh,
I
that's
think it turned out
beautiful.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you usually have multiple pieces going on at any given time?
Yes. Yeah. I just finished a couple behind me. Got this one over here that I'm just gonna completely redo.
Why is that?
Um, well, so a lot of times what I do is I take a picture and then I change it so much. Like I'll put in a background, I change the light because like so in this particular picture, the photographer had blown out the photo so much that it was just, I mean, her face was almost white.
Mm-hmm.
And so I need to get back in there and make a more crisp line but I'm like, there's got to be a shadow under here. Like it's
Right.
not, so I'm going to do that. It's a friend of mine who takes a lot of my photos and then the photos that I work from. If they're not historic, if they are like the Navajo or a lot of like the Pueblo tribes, it's usually the same photographer that I work with, Matt Toledo. He's doing his photography. He's not, necessarily taking the photos for artists to work from. He's, taking them for his own career. And so he edits them the way he edits them, and then that's that. So then I've got to go back in and create my own thing from it, and
So
it's a challenge.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you use reference photos all the time, or do you ever paint from just your imagination?
I mostly use references, but it doesn't mean that I will stick to it.
Right.
And I'll also like paint from life sometimes. Like I've definitely done some sketching, and then I've been doing portraits long enough that if I do an okay sketch of somebody, I can paint it
Right.
just fine. But I prefer, probably because how slow I am, I prefer to use a photo. But I don't know. I do change things a lot though, especially like with old like historic photos. So many people have done them, and I don't want mine to look exactly like theirs. So, like with a lot of the Native Americans that I transform into color, I'm not going to just like I see a lot of artists that are just like, oh, this should be red, this should be blue. I'll do this color. I have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours on the internet, like looking in museums and just going all over the place to find the exact colors that tribe would have used, the exact beads that they would have had at that time, or sometimes finding the actual, like if it's Sitting Bull or Chief Joseph, somebody like that, you can find museums that have some of their regalia, and then you can actually see it and see what those colors were, instead of I don't really like to take liberties with that, and change those colors because I know how important they were, especially like the Crow tribe, for example. their colors are very distinct with like their beads. And they use like a lot of like light blue and pinks and stuff. And you might not see that with a lot of other tribes from back then. So I like to be historically accurate on those.
It's important, right? Like to be,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
research is a big part of your workflow.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, this painting that I'm going to do right now, well, it's not just this one. I was looking at several that I'm going to do in the next week, and most of them are. I feel like since I'm moved down here, I need to start doing some more southern tribes. A lot of these tribes are like the Pima, Maricopa, and a lot of people will just look at I know a lot of artists who are just like, oh, I'm doing this Navajo painting. And I'm like, that's not even what that tribe is. Like, look into it. That's not, they wear so much jewelry. You're not even like, you're painting, a Hopi Indian or something. And they're like, well, no, because they wore the buns on the side of their heads. And I'm like, no, the maidens did, but the adult women did not, or even like the children. It was only the girls who were, looking to be married. And I just think if you're gonna do it, you should look into it and like really, I don't know, don't profit off something you don't understand. Like
Right.
really do your research. I think it's really important to be historically accurate and, don't just paint a picture that you see and, add your own, like a lot of people will, just add their own designs on it. They're like, oh, here's some Southwestern designs. And they just start putting in all these shapes and stuff. And it drives me a little bit crazy because
Understandably.
it's so disrespectful.
Absolutely. And do you ever see them getting pushback because they're not being historically, really?
Rarely. I actually just met one recently. I won't say where because then people would probably know who that person is. But yeah, I just had an experience with one very recently, and I had to walk away because I was very angry, and I didn't want to, I don't want to be rude. I'm a non-confrontational person, but I do think it can just be so disrespectful. And I think a lot of people would say what I do is disrespectful as a white person. I thought I was Native. I grew up thinking I was Native. I have a lot of Native people in my family, in my close family. And so I just assumed I am too, and my dad looked Native. My brother looks Native, but it just, I mean, I grew up in that culture and that lifestyle, but I still, a lot of people would say I shouldn't be doing it. I think if you're gonna though, be very, very respectful and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I even get mad at the people who will paint teepees and stuff and then vote against the interests of the people they're profiting off.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that bothers me. So
yeah, sure.
So what's your feeling about cultural and art appropriation? Like as long as you're doing it respectfully, it's okay? Or is there a line?
There's definitely a line. I definitely walk it. I mean, most of my family and my friends, I have a lot of close Native friends who are artists who are always like, oh, you can do it. Like, oh, it's fine. You can do it. You're different. But not really,
right.
But like I said, I think if you are respectful, if you are, I mean, I've taken so many, I did go to college, not for art, because why be smart? I I did a lot of Native American studies and have always advocated for Native Americans and I don't know. I just think if you're going to do it, I hope you really understand what they've gone through and be very respectful and don't just do it for profit.
So I
Yeah.
got a follow-up question. It's a little skewed, but it goes back to what you revealed. So you grew up thinking you were Native American, then you found out you weren't, that your dad wasn't. How did you find out, and how did that make you feel?
Well, I found out for sure when I did 23andMe,
Okay.
but my, I mean, a lot of people in my family were like, "Oh, well, obviously there are Native people, and then there are ones who look like, oh, they're definitely Native as well." But
Right.
um, like with my dad, I think it's more that we're Irish, and they called people in my family the Black Irish
Yep.
because there was the black hair and the dark eyes and the like. Even my dad had darker olive skin, and um, I mean my brother too. People would think that we just had different parents. I thought I favored my mom a little more, but people could not believe that my brother was not native once once I started saying no, 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 not not native. Do you have different moms? No. Do you have different dads? No.
So you found out you were part Irish and
Oh yeah, yeah, we're mostly Irish.
mostly Irish. Okay.
Yeah, we come from partially from the Guinness beer family.
Okay. There
Really?
you go.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sarah McGinnis was my great grandma who first came over. Well, Sally, but Sarah also. That's who I'm named after.
Nice.
Um, but yeah.
How long has your family been in Montana?
Um, let's see. I think my grandma and grandpa moved to Montana I'm gonna say maybe 1960.
Okay.
And then, but my mom's side of the family has been in Montana forever, like generations.
Hmm.
I mean, they go way back. Yeah, and then my Aunt Nell is Assiniboine. Her family's been there forever.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and yeah, a lot of our family is either Chippewa Cree or Assiniboine. We have some Blackfeet, and I believe that is all. Yeah, so I mean, they've all been there for a very long time.
So when you got the big reveal that you're not Native American, was it crushing? Was it like, oh
Oh
well,
yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I felt like, wow, I've been a pretendian for a while, because I had been telling people for the longest time. My brother's wife still, I had to be like, no, dude, seriously, we are not native. And because like she's native, they have a kid together. Like he looks probably extra native because my brother.
right?
And it's like, nope, 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 nope. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
Got it.
interesting.
Yep.
That's the one thing about like the genealogy show with what's his name? I can't remember his name now. African American gentleman. You know, sometimes what he reveals to people is really interesting, and they're like, "What do you mean? My family came over on the Mayflower?
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it was 100% black or whatever." And then oh wait a minute, you got some white in you, and then they have to like you can see like the gears turning. So I was just kind of
Yeah.
curious. Yeah, because
Well,
if you
when
grow up thinking you're one thing and then you find out no, you're not, that's
yeah.
like now I have to question my whole identity, like everything that
Oh, for
I've
sure.
taught myself. So,
For sure. Well, and then like my mom's side of the family, we have their records going back to, I believe it's the 1600s, and they were French Canadian, the Bourdalots, and they're like all over Canada, and like some of the stories are about them, like traders, trappers, um, people fighting, like just Indian war stuff. And I'm just how nothing there either. Like just
That's funny. Yeah.
just nothing. Okay, cool. But one thing with those genealogy apps or sites or whatever, my one of my relatives thought she was full-blood Native American, and but then they found some African American in there. And then she looked into it further, and it turned out that next to their reservation, there were some Buffalo soldiers stationed there at a fort for quite a while. And so she's like, "Oh, that's actually kind of cool."
Right. Makes sense.
But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, had no idea though. Always thought she was 100% Assiniboine.
Yeah. That's interesting. Anyway, I just, well, I do a lot of genealogy, or did a lot of genealogy. So I'm always interested in that. So, yeah. Thank you.
I'm glad you spoke to this because Wes and I have been talking about this almost since the beginning of the podcast. Like you see, white people depicting Native Americans, indigenous people in paintings and drawings or what have you, and just wondering like how that plays out. And then, like where that line is. And I'm glad you spoke to it because, I mean, you are different in that, you know, you grew up with the culture and you have family members, and so you understand that there's meaning behind all these different things, between the ceremonies, the way they dress,
Mm-hmm.
all that has significance and importance, and you have a reverence for it, and it shows in your work, I think.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and well, so even moving down here, I know a lot of the Northern Plains tribes because I've always been immersed in that. But then I come south and I'm like, well, I don't want to just paint these people without knowing them either. So I want to go to the places. I mean, I read about them. I study everything. Actually, just last night, I probably spent 6 hours yesterday looking up like Maricopa and Pima textiles, trying to figure out like, or from the 19th century, because I want to know like what are those colors? Like what, and I mean, I know the colors now, but I'm like, I want to see them. And there's almost nothing. Whereas the Northern Plains, they have so much at the museums that I go to. I mean, they just have full, full regalia that you can go there and look at for reference. And I'm just having the hardest time finding anything that isn't Navajo from like Arizona and New Mexico. But yeah, I want to know before I'm painting certain tribes, I want to know like what their story is, where their route, that they were taken during any of the westward expansion of white people, settlers. So I don't know. I want to know their story before I put my brush to the canvas, I guess. But yeah, what else was I gonna say? I had another point to make there, but my dog's bothering. My puppy's standing here and looking at me, so I'm like, ah, great. You're fine.
Now, like Charles Russell, he went and
Yeah.
lived with some of the Native
Yes.
Americans,
Mm-hmm.
and so his depictions are accurate, I would
Yep.
assume.
Mhm.
Um, and then A.R. Mitchell was also friends with different.
Yeah, he
Uh,
really didn't like to paint them, though. I believe he only has like one painting of them because of his respect for them. That was
yeah,
one of the things where he didn't.
that was like his line, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But he did take a lot of photos of them. We have a lot of photos in the archives. So,
At this point, is oil your favorite medium to work in?
yeah, it has become my favorite because, you know, pastel was so chalky, powdery. Every surface in my studio space was covered in the dust at all times. I mean, I had to draw on like sanded paper so it would grip the layers of color. Still, you have to blow on it on occasion, and it just poof into the air. And so anytime I was dusting in that room, I would go over it and look, and it'd just be 10 different colors on there. And but I mean, just powder thin, so it's just on everything in the whole room, every surface, all the time. And I'm a bit of a plant hoarder, so like every leaf on every plant I had to like wash them all the time. And so I really don't miss that. And graphite, I really didn't like the all the shine you get in different at different angles of it. I just kind of got over that whole thing. You can't make the blacks black enough.
You do it so well, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they are so beautiful. I'm going to pull up a piece and
Thank you.
have you talk about it real quick. This is Chief Iron
Ah,
White Man. Talk about this piece a little bit.
this piece is actually in my family still, and apparently it's one of my aunts bought it, and her kids are like fighting over who gets it. And like, this is getting willed to me, and it's the one thing I want.
Yeah.
A lot of my family members collect my art. This piece, though, was the first time that I had mixed the two, and so this has pastel and graphite. I had expected to do a whole series of this style, and then I just kind of thought, you know what, because it was when I very first started with color, and I really didn't know how to do it, and I was so afraid of it, and just working in there, like where I did the little wrinkles and making them, a darker red around his eye. I was like, okay, wait a minute. I think I can do this. Yeah, it just kind of took off. So this was like probably the piece that had me put graphite aside.
Wow. It's absolutely stunning. The detail from the light, the different tones in the skin
Hmm.
to the catch lights in his eyes, and even you can see the water at the very
Oh yeah,
bottom of his eyes and the reflections. I mean, it is out of this world.
yeah. I'm not certain with this one, but I don't believe that those are in the photograph. But a lot of those old photographs, you zoom in on them, and there's just so much blurring happens. You lose all the detail, and so I did take a lot of I do a lot of commissions as well, and especially back then I was doing a lot of commissions. So just kind of learned, what eyes look like, and what the shape of skin basically, and the direction that pores go. Uh, and so I did do a lot of that with this photo, I believe, or this piece.
Yeah, I'm
It's
actually
amazing.
looking at what looks like possibly the reference photo of it. And
Oh, okay.
I mean, you've definitely embellished a little bit, and which is great because I mean, it's super sharp, and I mean, it looks like it almost like a photograph in itself. Do you know is the ring around his eye, because it is in the reference photo, was it red, or do we know what color it was?
That I had no idea.
Okay.
I did it red because I was going to do a whole series
Oh,
of
sure.
pieces that had red in it.
Okay.
And so that was what I chose. But I have since seen people do this same portrait, and they do it the same way as I did, with having the whole thing be black and gray, and then they do a red circle.
Oh,
Hmm.
Uh, Not saying they're copying me. Maybe they saw mine, maybe they didn't. Um, but yeah, I have had people send me pictures and be like, "Look at this artist copied you," and I'm like, "Well, you don't know that they did. Maybe they had the same idea."
right. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Anyway, it's a gorgeous piece. I love this piece. I was drawn to it when I saw it. I was like, oh my God, that's great. And then I was like, I wonder if this is real, like, or if you totally added that. And so then I
Oh, yeah.
found, I looked up his name because you provided that. And so then I did a little deep dive on him. So it was
Yeah.
great because I'm not familiar with him. Like I live in Rapid City, South Dakota. So I go to Greasy Grass or Battle of Little
Oh, yeah.
Bighorn,
Mhm.
a number of times. And, I go to the res ferry, I've been to Wounded Knee. So I kind of delve into that. My kids are native or part native. My daughter's half native. So, I mean, so I'm into that whole kind of culture anyway. I find
Mhm.
it interesting. And, so no, this was great. I loved it. And, I loved going into a little bit of a deep dive on him, so that was fun.
Well, good. Thank you guys.
So give us a little snippet of the background on this particular man.
Ooh, you caught me off guard.
Oh, sorry. We
I
don't
would
need to
have
talk
known
about it.
back then. No, this was, what does that say? 20, I think that piece is from 2018. So it's been a while since I would have researched him. And so the problem isn't that so much that it's been a while. It's just that there's been so many that I have researched
Sure.
Right.
that I might be like wrong, and I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah, so I
Nope.
can tell you a little bit what I know. He was at the Battle of Little Bighorn.
Yep.
He was fighting under with Crazy Horse. He also traveled with the Buffalo Bill Wild West show. And so,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so
And
there,
that's where this photo was taken, I do believe.
okay,
The
that
photo
could
of
be.
him. Yep.
So he was there in the midst of it.
Mhm.
So, yeah. But I would encourage anybody listening to this, please go look up like his story, Sitting Bull's story. Really, like, do a little deep dive on the people because Chief Joseph, all those people are really fascinating.
These do look like photographs.
Yeah.
I'm blown away by them. Are you still working on occasion with graphite, or
You
you
know,
kind of just put that
I
aside for the
would.
time being?
I think about it sometimes and I am like, oh, why don't I try that again? And I just, I mean, I have all the supplies. You know what it was is people, so back when I was doing these, they would sell before I was even halfway finished with them. I would post a picture on, I mean, I believe it was just on Facebook at the time. And I'd say, here's what I'm working on. And somebody would say, I want that one. And so, I mean, they'd be sold immediately. But then it stopped and
Hmm.
nobody wanted graphite anymore. And now I have seen there are a few graphite artists who are doing quite well right now. And so I have definitely been like, huh, well, maybe I should do a few of those again. And I do like when I have shows, like if I go to a festival or something, I will always have like just little sketches that I do, like kind of quicker sketches. And then I usually do them on like toned paper and I'll just have those kind of bagged up, like how people bag up prints, and those will be for sale, but nothing quite this detailed. And a lot of the people that I see who are doing graphite usually are not quite this detailed
Right.
still.
Yeah, the detail is off the charts.
Yeah. And this is, I mean, this has got to take you days and days and days,
Oh,
isn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was going to
yeah.
say with all the minute details and like we're looking at Chief Joseph right now, and all the detail in his headdress and everything is so intricate that I can't even imagine like that would take forever.
Well, and it's also so many layers because you're blending and then you got to do it again and then you got to blend and then you got to do it again. And
Right.
um, I actually have this callus on my finger right here from. It's not as bad now that I'm painting, but it was like a permanent callus from. I always thought it was from all the little beads that I was always drawing, especially with pastel, because when I was doing those pastel portraits, that was the probably the most time consuming, those beads.
Wow.
And that was I would just put like a Band-Aid on my finger while I was working, but it's still there. I think it'll be there forever.
Right.
Oh, so for people that are listening, you go to Sarah's website, and if you go under her archive and you scroll down to graphite, you can see some of these pieces that we were just talking about, and they're all extraordinary and just phenomenal. So, how long have you've been an artist your entire life, but how long have you been doing this professionally? Like, how long have you been making your livelihood from your
Um,
art?
I believe it's 20 years now. I think it was 2005. Um, I had my first child and I was pregnant with the second. And um, probably since I was about like 14, I've been selling art, like, doing commissions. But when or it was probably 2005, when I was living in Williston, North Dakota, and there was a car wreck. These two young girls had gotten in a car wreck, and well, I believe there was like four or five of them in the car, but two of them had died. And it broke my heart because I believe they were 14 or 15, maybe 14 and 15. And I just could not believe, they weren't even going very fast, but they weren't wearing their seatbelts. And that same thing happened to my dad. Not going very fast. He was turning, but there was just, and kind of again the same story with those girls. There was new gravel on the road. It was a gravel road, new gravel laid, and my dad and these girls both took the corner a little too wide, hit that, the kind of the piled up gravel on the corner and rolled. And with my dad, he ended up hitting a telephone pole when he did it, and then it popped him out the window, and then the car rolled over him. But these two girls, they rolled and they both flew out the window. And it just, it was just so sad. One of them was even pregnant.
Mm.
And I ended up being so touched by it that I drew their portraits immediately. And they ended up they put them in the newspaper, like the whole front page, the whole inside was all about me. I mean, I felt like, okay, I'm getting some recognition here, but what a sad thing to have this, happen for. But the one of the girls ended up using the portrait for the what do they call that at the funeral? The thing, the little things.
Like
For the
obituary.
memorial.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I did that, and then so many people ended up coming and being like, oh, family members of theirs, oh, I would like a portrait of them as well, after seeing it in the paper. And so I probably did 20 portraits of each of those girls.
Wow.
And I think that's how I ended up being in the newspaper. It was like local artist, shares gift or something like that. And God, that made me really emotional for a second.
Yeah.
It's
I hadn't
making
thought
me
about this.
it's making me emotional hearing about it.
Yeah, I haven't thought of it in so long. Those poor girls. But anyway, it ended up being like every time I'd go somewhere Williston's a small town. It was so much smaller back then. I think there was or maybe there was about 10,000 people there. And then that was before the oil boom. But when I would just go to the store, people would be like, "Are you the Sarah Boston?" And people would shake my hand. I got so many cards in the mail from people thanking me. And then it just really took off from there. I mean, people wanted me to do commissions constantly. And so I spent probably the next almost every day. I was like, I don't want to say I neglected my kids, but I was so busy with portrait commissions that I would, and I was married at the time, but I was a stay-at-home mom. And so whenever my kids were sleeping or, I wasn't like, oh, I better go wake them up. Their nap is done. I was like, I'm going to let them sleep as long as they will sleep. I have so many drawings to do. So they probably got more sleep than any other. Good thing they were good sleepers. I guess they slept a lot. But yeah, I did. I made a pretty good amount of money back then, and not that I needed to because I my husband at the time did really well. So it was kind of like a little side thing that I didn't really need to do, but I was like, okay, well, I've always wanted to be an artist and it's happening now, it's taking off. And so I basically just did that. And I finally got to a place probably around the maybe 2000, somewhere in like 2012 to 2014, where I didn't have to take as many commissions. And I was finally like, okay, I'm ready to do just what I want to do. And I started just creating, and then people would buy those. I mean, I'll still take commissions because, I do portraits. So not everybody wants to buy Western portraits of people that they don't know. In fact, Allison Shoemaker told me that just today. She said I was over at the Mitchell Museum, and she said, I don't think even if I had all the money in the world, that I would want to buy a portrait of somebody who I didn't even know.
I mean, that's a thing, right?
Yeah.
But there's plenty of people that actually
Right.
will buy
absolutely.
portraits. So, I mean, that's the flip side of it. But, I mean,
yeah, there are portrait collectors out there.
Yep.
That was a really touching story about how kind of set you on this path. And you did it not as a way of making money, but you were trying to pay tribute, which is a really lovely thing to do you didn't see the accident? You just heard about it?
No. Yeah, okay. It was in the paper. It was a pretty big deal. Williston's such a small town, and
everybody knows everybody. And
yeah, not that I did, because I'm not from there or anything. I just moved there because my husband, his family's from there, and they had their businesses there and everything. So that was what brought me there. But one of the girl's brothers, I think I just had kind of known of him. And so he was older, like more my age. And again, it was just such a sad thing. And I think, being a new mom and just thinking what all you do for these little people from the time you have them, and all the caring and all the hand holding and the teaching, and then to think it's just, you could be gone in a flash. And it was just incredibly heartbreaking to me. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I can do, but I mean, this is something I can do. And so I wanted to give them something.
Right.
And you were part of that healing process. I mean, people kept on asking you for portraits for these two young ladies, and you kept doing them, and that's the power of art,
Yes.
What art can do. Art can heal. And, you did it, I would imagine, predominantly to just kind of process, like you said, those emotions that you were feeling as a young mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And thinking about how terrible that experience would be.
Yeah. I mean, and even what my grandma went through. I mean, I remember she never got over my dad's death. And I still remember every moment of it. I sat on her lap during the funeral, and I think I was more heartbroken for her and how hard she was crying than then I'm not going to ever see my dad again, because I don't know that I mean, I feel like I probably did understand it, but I don't know that I really knew, like the whole magnitude of how crazy life was going to be now. But I remember just sitting there on her lap and feeling that pain in my throat because my grandma was crying so hard, and just that loss. And I think you don't really even understand what that's like until you have a child of your own. And um, the love that you have for somebody, and then to lose that is a parent's worst nightmare. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I'm actually kind of doing another thing that is very similar lately. Well, I shouldn't say lately, but over the years, I've had people ask me to draw portraits of their babies who have passed away.
Mhm.
And some of them never lived,
Mhm.
and that's very difficult. I had a late term miscarriage myself, so of course that's something that I dealt with, and I understand that pain from that those women go through, but it's really difficult to draw something that never existed. People, like, I think a lot of times there's expectations that I would be able to do a portrait of a fully formed, happy living baby. And as I have to tell those people that never happened though. And I don't want to, even though obviously you would love for that to have happened. If you never saw that, please do not ask me to create that for you, because the pressure, number one, the pressure that puts on me to try to create something. And then what if they're unhappy with it? What if it's not the image that they've, created in their head? And um, I think that's too difficult. But what I have been doing is if the baby did live for a short amount of time and did take breaths, I will try to paint that for them, because a lot of those babies have tubes in their mouths and all over their faces, and so then the photos that the people have of them are not very good. They're just, and that's not how they want to remember their child.
Right.
And so I will basically remove all of those and try to make the baby look, I mean, the photos I get, the baby's no longer living usually.
Mhm.
And so I have to make the baby, give life to it, which is very difficult, and it is very, kind of upsetting. But at the same time, how do you say no to the, if somebody's asking you for that? And I want to be really helpful. And um, so that is another little side, not Western art, but a little side journey that I'm on.
I'm
Wow.
surprised that you can do it. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I understand the whole idea of like, I want to help these
Hmm.
parents, right? But just the idea of painting, somebody who, only lived hours or days, that'd be soul crushing for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. It
Yeah.
is. And sometimes it's very difficult to look at the photos, but I just, I can't imagine what it must be like to leave the hospital. I almost had to with one of mine, to leave without him. And I just can't imagine really not being able to. And
Yeah.
so I I just want to give them something that they can put on their wall and,
Yeah.
have a nice portrait of, instead of just the pictures that they remember, all the pictures that they have. And well, the other thing is, first they have all of those tubes, but then after they take the tubes off, then they've got all the tape, and just all these marks all over there. And sometimes they're a little distorted or filled with fluid because so it's not ideal.
Right.
So
Right.
it's
But I
really
can't
nice.
think of a better person to do it than you because you've been doing this your entire life, right? Like, as of somebody that does portraits, you are observing people all the time,
Mhm.
even through a photograph, right? Like you are kind of reading that person. So I can't think of a better person that, with the work and the experience that you have to do a portrait of something that never happened, portraying a child that never got the chance to really be here. You seem to me like you would be the ideal person.
Well, thank you. I try. It's tough, but
Yeah.
Yeah, they've turned
Wow.
out that everybody who I've done them for have been very happy with them. So
Right. Right.
And that's the proof of the pudding right there, right? When they appreciate the time and effort and what you've been able to create.
yeah,
You now are in Trinidad, Colorado,
yep.
and you lived the majority of your life, it sounds like, in Montana. What prompted this move when you're an established artist in a certain region to give Colorado a go?
Well, I always wanted to live in Colorado. I love the beauty of the state. I have friends who live here. I've just always loved it for probably, I think I first came here when I was 19 and I was just like, oh man, I want to live there so bad. And um, I just, so I guess that was in there. And then the first time Cody Keel had me come down for that show Resonance that he was curating. Now I'm doing it, but I loved everything about this town. I remember driving up and seeing just the streets. A lot of the streets are made from red bricks that say Trinidad on them, and it's just adorable. Like red paved streets, red brick streets, or it's just cute. It's the buildings, they're all just, I mean, there's so much like on Main Street, and then there's a couple other streets that just have gorgeous architecture. And it's just, and then Fisher's Peak kind of towering over the town as a backdrop. It's just, I was like, yep, I want to live there. Then I went into the Mitchell Museum, and you can't walk into that place without just, I mean, it's like, oh, it's just so great. So I went down into the archives and was just in all my glory looking, because I do a lot of research for stuff. So uh, being in the archives in there and looking through stuff that was Mitchell's and finding a couple boxes that were labeled Charlie Russell and seeing all like how obsessed he was with Charlie Russell. And he had actually where I met Cody Keel was at the Out West Art Show in Great Falls years ago. And Mitchell had a ticket for the Out West Art Show from who even knows how long ago. I mean, I've got a picture of it somewhere, but it was from a long time ago. And I was just like, how cool is this? Like, it
Do you
just,
take that as a sign?
yo, absolutely. I was like, there's a connection here. And I mean, I feel like we need a bridge, uh, create some type of bridge between the Russell Museum and the Mitchell, because I think there's a lot there. The Mitchell Museum has a lot of Charlie Russell stuff in it, like just old stuff that Mitchell had collected from the early 1900s, and they've got letters from people. I think it was the Crakel collection. I don't know if Cody's talked to you about that, but there's I think this, oh, I might butcher this. There's a collection that Cody and Nicholas Reddy had acquired. And I think it came from the old Cowboy Artist of America, some museum that they used to have in Texas or something. I don't recall, but there was all this stuff. It's called the Crakel Collection. It ended up after the Cowboy Artist of America, like got mad at somebody. I don't remember. I don't know the whole thing. The collection was like in somebody's basement.
Mm.
And part of the collection, or part of this basement hoard, there was a lot of books about A.R. Mitchell. And so they called the museum and they were like, hey, I have all of these, or some random guy calls. And he's like, hey, I've like inherited this. I have like hundreds of books, or like 1,000. I'm not even quite sure. It's a lot. There's a massive like pallets of these books. He's like, I've got all these A.R. Mitchell books. Do you want them? And they were like, yeah. we do. We want everything you have. And the guy had no idea what he had, but um Cody and Nicholas ended up like splitting it, the what the guy wanted for it, and paid him some money, and shows up with a U-Haul and just gives the museum all of this stuff. And there's just incredible stuff in there. And some of it is like a this guy was writing a book on Charlie Russell, and there are letters in there that he sent to people. I mean, he wrote letters to people, people sent him back, and it's just all this information about Charlie. And so I'm like, we need to get a hold of the the Russell Museum and see about doing some shows together, try to get people to know more about the Mitchell Museum, because it is a very hidden gem. And yeah, hopefully that.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I try to tell people about Trinidad and the Mitchell Museum all the time. Like, you got to get off the freaking highway. If
Yeah.
you're already on your way to New Mexico or coming back, get
Mhm.
off the highway and spend an afternoon in Trinidad, and you'll really have an
Absolutely.
appreciation for the place. And definitely go to the Mitchell, because it is out of this world. And the fact that it even exists is amazing.
Yeah.
And, they've gone through a lot of, various trials and tribulations. It's under the radar, and it deserves to get its due. It deserves to be recognized for what it is. It's just
Absolutely.
spectacular.
Absolutely. And you know, Mitchell kept everything. He was clearly like a hoarder of his day, because
He was an
he,
artist.
yeah, but most people don't keep everything. Like he would like write stuff down on a little note, and like that little note is in those boxes. Like he has everything that he ever did. It's just in there. And I mean, I could spend all of my time just looking through that stuff. But yeah, the archives in that place are incredible.
They really are. And I feel really fortunate that that we were able to connect with Cody, and I've been down there multiple times, and Cody has been willing to, and Allison
Hmm.
to, i- allow us to go down and look at. I mean, it's just amazing. You're like
Yeah.
seeing all this stuff, his hats, his
Yeah.
holsters, his photographs, his, the paintings that aren't on display. I mean,
Mhm.
it's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, there is so much that is just, it's such a huge building. And I mean, there's like artifacts in there that I, the first time I came, there was this skull, and then there was a note, and it just said Indian skull. And I'm like, what's with this skull? Like, what's going on there? And they're like, oh, we don't go near that. It's haunted. Like, it's just,
That's
I
awesome.
haven't seen it. I don't even know what happened to it. It's not there anymore. But I'm like, why is that here? Like, somebody should be like trying to follow this, researching this, figuring out where this came from, and returning it if possible.
Right.
But that was a
Because
common thing. I mean, they
Yeah.
collected skulls all the time,
Yeah, like what is the story for where, like how did the skull end up in this building is what
Right.
I would like to know. But yeah, haven't seen it in a while, so I don't know. Um and but there's so many things like he would Mitchell would trade things all the time. And so there's like he has all these moccasins down there from like from what I've seen, it looks like most of them came from like the Taos area. And man, they're just gorgeous.
Yeah.
But they're just sitting there. I'm like, why aren't we doing something with these? Let's let's display these.
you've been in Trinidad for how long now?
I moved here in October. It was
Okay.
actually, yeah, after the last Resonance show. I love all the people here, and I have the best time when I'm here. We were hanging the show, and I was up on a ladder and I was just having, every time I'm here, I just feel, I would feel so great. And I would come down here, but, a few times a year from Montana, but just something like this, the museum, the vibe, the people, it just speaks to my heart. And so I was just like, I don't want to go home. I just don't. And I'm going to go back to my life there that I was unhappy with. And so I had made a comment and I was like, I think I'm just going to go home and kind of like say that I'm leaving. and I don't think people believed me, but I did. I came back. There was the annual ball there. The gala was just a couple weeks later. I came back for that and I found an apartment and I moved into it at the end of October. So people were like, wait a minute, you really moved here? Like you moved here? You just said you were thinking about moving here and you just like up and moved.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I still have my house in Montana that I'm needing to get rid of and a bunch of my stuff, but gotta still make all that move.
It sounds like you just really love the community of people and the art community that you've tapped into there.
Absolutely.
Is it different than you were living in
I was in Billings.
Billings? Is it different than the Billings
So
scene?
different. Yeah, I don't think there is an art scene in Billings. Doesn't really I mean, they do have a First Friday and stuff, but the sense of community, art community, is not there at all. Everybody's just busy doing their own thing, and it's occasionally you run into art friends and you talk, but it's not like here. Everybody is. Well, it's kind of funny because if you're here, you go to any restaurant or a bar or anything, and you're like, "Oh, hey, what do you do?" And everybody, "Oh, I'm a professional artist," and it's just great. And I love that so many of us are we're all like-minded. We're working towards the same goal. We all love the Mitchell Museum. We want to see that succeed. Everybody has ideas on how to make it succeed. And everybody just seems to be so kind and, want to help each other. And want to like lift up other artists where, that's not what you get in every art community. There doesn't seem to be a lot of competition here, which you'd think there would be because it is a small town, but it seems like there's room for all of us. And yeah.
Growing up in a family of artists, being kind of tapped into the indigenous Native American community, and then growing up in Charlie Russell's town that he lived in for a good portion of his life, and going to the Russell Museum, what do you think makes good Western art?
Ooh. I mean, I guess for me, I like older Western art. I guess I like stuff that looks a little older, and I know that sets me apart, especially like I listened to Cody's podcast earlier, and he's like, "Oh, where everybody's moving away from that, can't even give those oil paintings away." That's what I'm drawn towards because I think that like when I would be in Montana as a kid, and even, I mean, if I went back to Montana, I'd be driving around picturing things without roads and without, being like, "Oh, I wish I could see what this looked like before." And I think to me, good Western art allows you to travel back in time to those periods and, kind of dive in a safe way because, a lot of issues back then. And I guess, yeah, for me, that's where my heart is, like just, in the old romanticized versions of what everything looked like before it was ruined by westward expansion, I guess, not that cowboys aren't a part of the West, the cowboy and the rancher and all of that. I mean, I do like that in Western paintings as well, but I like older looking Western art, I guess, even though now what I do, I put a lot of bright colors in it and it doesn't look very old, but I guess I'm kind of trying to blend the two. So that's me.
As you were talking, I was thinking along the same lines, there's that romanticism. I feel like there's that element in your work.
Mm-hmm.
There's that thread that runs through your work. So even though you're using brighter colors or what have you, or, making it maybe a little bit more modern looking, I still feel that when I look at one of your pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't often put the like if I'm painting a figure, I don't put whatever the actual background is that's in that photo. I'll put well, like this one here behind me. I don't even recall what was in that picture, but anyways, there like I'll put a lot of clouds and stuff, um or yeah, that one.
This is a
That
beautiful piece.
Yeah, it's
Thank
called
you.
fertility. I like that one.
And that one I added the hollyhocks because my mom actually passed in January, and hollyhocks were one of her favorite flowers. And she had a cat named Harley, and her cat was always in her hollyhocks, and she called them Harleyhawks because of her cat. But she found out that she had cancer on December 19th, and she passed on January 12th. So
Oh,
it was
wow.
very quick.
Wow.
Um, and so during that time, before I could get over there, I was doing this painting for what was it, the Indian Market and Western Show in Colorado, or in Denver, sorry. And I just thought I was going to do this woman anyways, but then I just wanted to put those Harley Hawks in there for my mom so she could see like one that, it was the last painting that she got to see of mine before she went. And also with there's kind of the series that I was doing. Well, I'm not going to be done with it yet, but where I've kind of anthropomorphized these women. They have like the halo around their head, but I mean, it's kind of a halo. It's not really like a normal halo that you would see. It's just a gold line around their head, I guess I
Right.
could say. But it's meant to symbolize that they are like divine women, and yeah, that blessings is another one. And so blessings, for example, this one's kind of like a trinity where she has the Navajo wedding basket, which is supposed to bring good luck to a marriage and blessings to a marriage. And then there's water, and the rain clouds. So she's kind of just bringing blessings to the earth and stuff in this, and blessings to the land. But yeah, so I love to paint figures, obviously, but that was kind of the whole idea behind these pieces and the other one with fertility, she's bringing, I guess, fertile soils and to the flowers and stuff in that one. I think I had more that I was going to do with that one, but then because of my mom's situation, I just decided I'm going to put all these flowers in it and make it look like she's walking through the Harley Hawks.
Nice. These
These are
definitely have a
beautiful.
contemporary feel to them. That's for sure. There's a number of them that really, really feel contemporary.
Yeah, because it has like a 3D. I mean, I'm looking at it on a computer screen and it feels 3D to me. It's crazy how I feel like I can touch it. I feel like it almost looks like a photograph. That's how well you painted it.
Thank you. Now, see, this one took me a month. So, but I mean, it's a little bit larger as well. I think this one is 24 by 36. And that was the first time I painted clouds.
Oh,
So,
wow.
You hit it out of the park. I was
Yeah.
admiring these clouds. I was going to say something about it, but yeah,
Yeah, I
nice.
there's a lot of layers on that because I went over them and over them and over them, and finally I was like, okay, these, I did it. That's what I was going for.
On average, what size of pieces do you have, or do you paint all different sizes?
All different sizes.
Okay.
Um, Lately I have done some smaller ones because I want them to sell better. So, because I have some big pieces. I've got two that I'm just so sick of lugging around with me. It's one's a grizzly bear and one's an elk, and they're both 4 feet tall, and I think one of them is maybe 30. One's 32 by 48, and the other one is 36 by 48.
Oh,
I'm just, yeah, the bear there.
I love that one.
It's a great piece.
Thank you.
This is Wes's worst nightmare.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
grizzlies.
He just went to Montana
I did.
a couple months back, and he was afraid that he was going to run into this bear.
I was
I love grizzlies. This bear was very nice.
I
So,
was excited and fearful at the same time, and then I was relieved and disappointed that I didn't run into one. So
oh yeah, I figure I've had close to 100 grizzly encounters, and I've never even been bluff charged. So,
wow.
and I've
Wow.
been very close to some of them. This guy was pretty close too, and didn't have any issues with. But I mean, there's some that have been so close to me I could reach out and touch them.
Oh wow.
And
Wow.
because they were just walking by me on a trail and I couldn't get away and they couldn't get away, and you're just like, ooh. And they scooch by you real fast. And yeah, most of the grizzlies I've had encounters with have been in either Glacier National Park or Yellowstone. They're a little more habituated, they're not, which can be a bad thing,
Yeah.
but I also think they tolerate humans a little more but I mean, even the ones I've seen out of the parks I haven't had issues with them. I have been a little more afraid of them, but usually I think if you stay calm and if you know that the average grizzly attack, if you can keep your shit together, is 3 to 5 seconds, uh, and I've given
Or it's
birth three
quick.
times. Yeah.
It's over quick sometimes.
Yeah.
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 I'm
It
like,
just
I've given birth 3 times and that was awful. So I think I can hold it together for 3 to 5 seconds if I know that I'm I could probably live through it if I just, ooh, go inside myself somewhere.
yeah.
But if you keep screaming or try to fight back or whatever, it's gonna go a lot longer. And so I think that's where people get in trouble. They don't, again, you got to do your research.
Right.
Yeah, I
And
think in the moment though, it's pretty hard to like keep your shit together. You're
I'm
either
good
going to
at
or
it.
you're not.
Yeah,
And
I'm
for
I'm
sure.
so good at keeping my shit together, whether it's a car crash or the grizzly encounters that I've had, where, some people I've been on a trail where people near me are like, "Oh no, a grizzly, let's throw rocks at it." And I'm just like,
well, you don't want to.
"Stop."
It's
Like
not a
this
black
isn't a
bear,
black bear.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
can you stop antagonizing that giant animal?
Right.
But yeah, I just think if you stay calm, which I'm very good at staying calm in a bad situation. I mean, I'm kind of always calm. So in bad situations, I'm extra calm. Like I feel like I'm a person that will totally survive a bear attack if it ever happens to me, because I am also smart about it. I carry 2 cans of bear spray,
Yeah.
which most people do not.
Yeah,
If you
because they
carry
don't
one
last
and you
long.
use it all, well, what
Right.
are you going to do on your way back out?
Right.
You gotta better to have a backup.
I
So,
can't remember the guy's name, but I just read about a photographer who died in Alaska. He was in a remote area and he made a couple big mistakes. Number one, he was by himself, and number two, he didn't have bear spray or a gun or anything, but he was up photographing grizzlies,
um,
and he just like he got taken out like quick,
yeah.
and he was too
Well,
close, I think.
Yeah, those bears up there are so much larger
Yeah.
than, I mean, the coastal brown bears are massive
Yeah.
compared to like Montana grizzlies are, you know, just a fraction of the size of those guys.
And then my other suggestion is if you're going to go to Glacier, you don't read Night of the Grizzlies before you go because that'll set the
You read it
stage
while
for
you're
you.
there for funsies.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. That'll
No,
put
it's
you
a
on
great
funny.
book
edge.
though.
I think when you grow up in an environment, so I grew up in Alaska. I grew up in Fairbanks, Alaska, and much like Montana, and I've spent a fair amount of time in Montana. I think when you grow up in that environment where you're closer to nature and you have a bit of education, it doesn't seem quite as daunting, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know that shit could go sideways, but you also know what you should and shouldn't do better,
Yeah.
more so than, somebody from the Midwest or something that's,
Oh, absolutely. I've
Yeah.
also I drive a car most days, and my dad died, my stepdad died in a car wreck. A lot of people I know have died in car wrecks, and I still do that. So
Right.
I feel like, I don't know anybody who's died from grizzly bear.
Right. Well, they're rare. I mean,
Yeah, it's so rare.
attacks are rare, and then to be killed by one is even more rare. I
Yeah.
mean, it just doesn't, it hardly even
Yeah,
happens,
I mean,
you know?
bluff charges are rare. And
Yeah.
usually when there's a bluff charge, I think so that's the other thing that people need to understand. If a, so maybe it's like 99.9% of the time, if you see a grizzly, nothing's going to happen. Of that 0.1% of the time, you know, maybe a bear is going to bluff charge somebody or is going to run at somebody. And then you kind of scale it down, and then you've got like 99% of the bluff charges are just a bear trying to see who you are, what you are, because their eyesight is worse than ours. But I mean, they
great
can smell
smell.
better than a bloodhound, but their eyesight is worse than ours at night. And so sometimes they run at you to see who you are, and then they take off even quicker. But a lot of times a bear's bluff charging somebody and the person doesn't know what to do. And then they might be like, blah. And again, fine for a black bear, but maybe you've now just antagonized that grizzly because now where it was just trying to see you or smell you or whatever, now you've threatened it. And so maybe it attacks you now, and you've just kind of made that decision for the bear or the people who shoot them, and now you've just pissed it off.
Right.
So,
I mean,
bear spray.
there's definite science there. The mom's protecting the cubs, or
Yeah.
they're protecting a food source, or you scare them. Like
Yeah.
the runner that was in West Yellowstone, she was on a trail, and it happened so fast that they concluded that she surprised the bear. A bear attacked her, and just luck of the draw that, or not luck of the draw, but bad luck for her, severed an artery, and she bled out almost instantly.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And
it's
if
just
people
rare.
could stop running in bear country, I feel like it'd be better. And I mean, maybe if you're going to run in a group, but stop running on trails
Right.
where there are grizzlies.
Yep.
It just, you are food now.
Yep, you're a snack.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
How do you go about selling your art? Is it mostly through gallery representation? I know you do some festivals. Talk a little bit about that.
a little bit of everything. The Cody's gallery does well for me.
Cody is a smart
And then-
man when it
Yes.
comes to selling art.
Yeah. And I've gotten some collectors here who get a lot of my pieces, fortunately. And then there's, festivals, online sales. I mean, I have my website, but a lot of, posting on social media and stuff. That definitely helps. And I like to do festivals because then when I was younger, my uncle, my mom's brother is an artist as well. And I remember a long time ago, he told me, people don't just collect the art, they collect the artist. And that means you have to go out and talk to people sometimes and get to know people, and then they like you, and then they want to buy your stuff. And that has definitely helped me a lot with my career, because like the Out West Art Show in Montana in March is probably the biggest moneymaker for me every year. But yeah, just being there every year, and same people come back, and a lot of the people maybe saw you the years before and they couldn't afford something, but years later now they can. Or I also offer jewelry. I paint on copper and make earrings and necklaces. So try to have a lower price point for people where they can get just a tiny little original that's wearable art. And so I do sell a lot of those. And then eventually, a year or two later, people will come back and can finally afford it, like an original painting. But yeah, I kind of just sell everywhere. Anywhere I can. I don't think I have one that does better than the other.
And you're really smart in that when I was exploring your work, that you have a lot of different things that you offer at different price points, just like you said. And I think that's always important for an artist to have some of those offerings in addition to the jewelry that you make and that you paint and offer. You also do prints, it looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Which I think is really smart, because not everybody can, and I know there's differing opinions on whether or not you should sell prints of an original or whatever, but not everybody can afford an original.
Absolutely. I have no problem selling prints. I think there are people who want prints. Sometimes that's because that's all they want. They don't want to spend more on art. Some people cannot afford to spend more on art. And then there are the people who are like, there's no way I'm going to buy a print. I will never buy a print. And I'm actually one of them. I do not buy prints. I do have a collection of art from my friends. Like usually when I do a show, like the Out West show, I usually buy one piece every year from somebody. And just something small, but to add to my collection. But yeah, I don't want prints. I don't, what do I need a print for? But yeah, I don't necessarily, or years ago, I couldn't afford those. I mean, this year I got a cult idol, and finally I could afford a cult idol. I remember years ago trying to bid on one at the Out West show, but I think there was just a little auction in there somewhere. Like they just had a small work show within it. And I kept going back and just upping it a little more and upping it a little more. And it got so far out of hand. It's just like, okay, well, obviously I'm not getting that. But I don't want to be or charge so much for my work that not everybody can enjoy it. I want people to be able to have a little something if they can. And especially like with the earrings, I have so many people women who come back every year and are just like, oh, every day people are asking me where I got these. And so, that helps. But yeah, I've got one of my friends has paintings of mine. She has so many earrings of mine, and she's constantly promoting me, and I just love her. She's great. But yeah, I just love that when people can have a bit of everything.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing the Out West show?
Let's see. I think I first got in 2019.
And that's a juried show?
Yes. Yeah. I've always helped with it though. And I went to it as a young kid with my stepdad was a tattoo artist in Great Falls. He had the first tattoo shop, I believe in Montana, called Tattoo Yorks. And he used to take me there, and I remember hating going with him because, first of all, it was very busy back then, and it was kind of the heyday of that show. You could barely walk in there as it was, but everybody knew who he was. And so we'd make it a couple feet, and then somebody would be like, "Oh, hey, York, how you doing?" And then he'd have to talk with them, and I'd just be like, "Oh, I hate my life. I was like 6 years old or something, just like sitting on the ground, being in everybody's way, being an annoying kid." But I remember going and seeing everybody's work and just being like, "Oh my gosh, I want to be here. I want to do this. why is my Aunt Cheryl not here?" You know, because I mean, her work was just as good. And she was just in Seattle. That's why she wasn't doing it. But I loved it back then. And then I had moved away for quite a few years while I lived in North Dakota and, had my kids and stuff. And then when we moved back to Great Falls, I was instantly back there and just helping set up rooms. And a lot of artists will rent their pro panels and their light setups and everything. And so they need a lot of volunteers to come in and I don't know if you're familiar with the Out West show, but it's in a hotel and they remove all of like the beds, the TVs, like all that stuff. They get it out of the rooms. And then we would come in and just set up all of the panels and and the lights and get everything ready for the artists to show up and then put up all their artwork. I would help with certain things like I would be one of the people that would come down and like they would pair us with an artist. Like all the volunteers would get an artist and you would have to help them set up their table and bring all their paints down and just get everything ready for them and then bring them drinks or whatever they needed, help them with their lighting, just do whatever they needed. And yeah, that was just a thing that I did every year. But I was still applying every year to get in. And then finally the director at the time was this guy, John Godwin. And he was like, "Well, we voted to let you in, but I don't want to because you help." And now we're going to lose you.
We're going to lose a volunteer.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I did a lot there. So
that's funny.
Wow. Is that the largest Western art show?
No, it's a big one because March in Montana is massive. Western Art Week it started because of Charlie Russell. It goes over his birthday. His birthday is March 19th, which is also my mom and my brother's birthday. But yeah, so every year in March, it's like a whole week of art shows, and there's quite a few of them. Some of them have gone away lately, just the people who did them have passed away, and some of them have merged. But I mean, there's probably at least 10 shows, I would say, that are going on. There's probably more than that, but they're in like hotels or the convention center or whatever. But the Out West show is the most prestigious show. It's the oldest show. It's the one that everybody wants to be in. And it's at the Heritage Inn, and half of the hotel is closed off for the Russell auction. And then the other half of the hotel is the Out West show. And then just all the hotel rooms are open on the upper floor and the lower floor. And then it's all open in the center. And that's where we do like the quick draw and the quick finish. Cody Keel and I both do that every year. And some of our other friends, we're kind of staples for that. It seems like the last several years. Yeah, it's really neat. Cody and I actually share a room. We have 2 rooms with 4 of us. And this year we made our room like gallery style because it was connecting rooms. And so we just sort of set it up like a gallery and people could walk between the 2 rooms. And it was pretty neat, except for
neat.
Cody sold more than all of us and we were annoyed. We kept taking his pieces off and turning them around and like setting them on the floor.
Just put red dots by them, then they won't sell.
Oh yeah, they're good at doing that. Then he'd look more successful. It was funny though. He came in at one point, and this other artist, Abby Pittman, was in our room with us, and her and I had taken all this stuff down because we were just sick of him selling everything. And he was like, "With friends like these," and he just starts picking them up and hanging them back up. And Like, sorry, I'm sick of you making all the sales. Leave some of them for the rest of us. So,
Oh, that's funny. It's a
yeah.
good thing he's a good human, right?
I know. It's just he's too darn creative because people would be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so interested in this piece. I think I'd really like it. Wait a minute, is that layered plexiglass?
That's funny.
Never seen that before." And then they'd buy that. So it's just like, oh, I don't want to share a room with you anymore. And then of course I'm doing a show with him next month. So
Oh,
what
so now you'll just have to start picking up some layered plexiglass pieces.
I know,
I
right?
got you covered right here.
Yeah, right. That's impossible. I've tried. I've painted with him. He's we paint together a lot. And there was one day, well, that was the first time he had said, I'll paint on yours and you paint on mine. And I was a little terrified because I'm like, you know how long I've been working on this painting? I don't want you in here messing it up. You don't even know how to paint with oils. So there was that. But also, my brain does not work like his with his backwards painting. Um, I work from the bottom up. And then the way he works, the first strokes he makes are that's the finished piece.
Right.
Which I'm like, I don't get it. My brain won't do it.
Right.
Please
Makes your brain hurt.
stop making me do it. I've got a piece over here that we both painted on, and then he's like, here, happy birthday. And I was like, wait a minute. Do you just hate it so much? Did I mess it up? You just don't you just gave it to me because you knew you couldn't sell it or what? I ruined it, maybe.
I don't think so. That would be an interesting, you guys collaborating together on pieces every now and again. That would be an
Yeah.
interesting thing, I think.
Yeah. Well, I told him we should for this show. I was like, maybe I'll do a background and then you put something in it, or you do, whatever. We could figure something out. But we've both been so busy. So maybe we'll do one again next year. And
So since we're talking about the show, what is this going to look like? He has his gallery within Kiel Fine Art
Mhm.
within the A.R. Mitchell Museum. Half is going to be you, half is going to be his work. Is that the way it's going to work? Or
I guess I have no idea how we're hanging it. I think we'll figure that out the day before. Is probably what we'll do. That's we kind of wing things when we when we hang at that gallery. But yeah, and we've both been so busy producing work for other things that I'm just like kind of tapped on where like I still keep trying to do stuff, but then I accidentally started making this piece that won't be for that. So I need to just be working on pieces for that show probably because it's really sneaking up on me. But
So do you try to paint like a theme? Is there like a body, like what
you
you'd
would
say a
think
body?
so.
Or
I should have because I know that looks better, but yeah, I kind of tossed that out a while back because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to make enough pieces. So I'm like, well, I'm going to bring in some of these other pieces that Trinidad hasn't seen yet. And they're nowhere near what I'm doing right now. So
okay,
definitely not going to be a theme. It's just my paintings.
sure. A depth
And,
of paintings.
if it was a solo show, I probably would have done that. But I think because it's a mixture of my stuff and Cody's, I'm just like, whatever. I'm gonna try to do as many as I can, and then I'll just bring everything. Um, we'll just do that.
There you
So,
go.
I love the pairing of the two of you together, showing together. And not that it hasn't happened in some realm before, but I definitely am going to make an attempt to, if I don't come down for First Friday, I definitely will get there during the month of August to come check it out because, hey,
oh, for
I
sure.
love
Yeah,
Cody's
we do.
work and I really love your work. So,
Well, thanks.
how do you go about pricing your work? That's a question we ask a lot of people, and I know it's always kind of a mixed bag and kind of hard to, put your finger on it. But some people do have a formula, and
Yeah, I do. I price by the square inch. I also price differently if it's a portrait or if it's an animal, because it is so much easier for me to paint, even though people are what I love. It's so much easier for me to paint like a bear than it is a human, because especially if I'm trying to really make it look like a certain person, if you don't make it exact, then people are like, well, that doesn't even look like that person. Or, you could make the slightest little error on a person's portrait. And I think probably because we all look at faces every day, people can pick that out. But if I make an error on an animal's face or something, most people, it's covered up by hair as well, usually, but most people don't notice that as much. And if it doesn't look exactly like my reference photo, nobody knows and nobody cares. They just think, oh, that's a good piece. So I charge currently $3.50 a square inch for animals and 5.50 a square inch for portraits. And then I just stick with that no matter the size, whether it's really small or really large. There have been times if I do something really big, I'm like, well, that's never going to sell with with this formula, even, at that price. So I'll lower it just to get it to sell because I don't want to just sit in here forever. But yeah, that works pretty good for me right now.
And so what are we talking about as far as range? Like what's the upper range to like a smaller piece typically?
Upper range is probably close to the 5,000-ish. And then, but I mean, I have pieces that are like around 400 even. Like, well, okay, I've got I'll do some really small minis that are even like 5x5s, and those I'll sell for like probably around like $100 or something. So
All day long, right?
yeah, they obviously won't be as detailed, and I often don't have as many on my website because I'll usually take those to festivals, and then those are quick sellers.
Yeah.
I bet. I just read an article today that kind of was talking about how the upper echelon of art sales in the past year have really taken a hit. We're talking like blue chip type art, but the sweet spot is right where you're at. And especially being kind of, like, I guess mid-career, right? Artist.
Yeah,
Those, I guess, those sales, they've seen an increase, an uptick
for sure.
for artists. You've experienced that yourself?
No, but I've seen my friends do well. No, last year was actually my worst sales year ever, and I think this year I'm right on track to match that.
I don't think you're alone. I think there's
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that are feeling that.
yeah,
During COVID,
absolutely.
everybody was buying art. And then the economy, it's so
Yeah,
questionable that I'm not
it
going to
really
spend.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also, for me, I'm not doing as well this year because, I've taken some hits this year, in my family life, obviously the death of my mother, and then my two older kids are, they think that they know better than me and stuff, so they're not talking to me as much these days, and they're off on their own, both living in North Dakota currently. So I've just experienced the loss of both of them, and then I'm also currently going through a divorce. So I feel like I haven't had as much of myself to give to my art all the time, and even when I am, like right now I am, but like earlier in the year, it was so hard to just sit and paint because I just was not feeling it.
Right.
And with moving here and going back and forth to Montana and trying to get my kids situated with this town, I just was very busy with all of that. And I think that really hurt me with my art sales. But I think I'm getting back on track now. I've had some really good opportunities, especially like with the Broadmoor last week. And, I've got stuff going on. So I'm hopeful that everything's going to pick back up. It's just been slow because of personal stuff.
Sure.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that can be paralyzing, on different levels. What do you do when you obviously this scenario is a little bit different than like everything's going well or what have you, and life's not throwing you curveballs or what have you, but do you ever push up against creative blocks? Do you ever have creative blocks?
Not so much creative blocks. I wouldn't say, like, I still feel creative, and like I have so many references. I have so much that I could be doing. It's more so that I get in these moods where I'm just so sad that I don't want to come over to this area and sit and paint.
Yeah.
Like, and just sitting here and painting, I just start thinking about, the things that have made me sad. And I'm just like, well, I cannot focus on this because my mind is so busy with this. And I mean, it wasn't just like my mom's passing. It wasn't just that. I had to stop what I was doing, go there, go through all of her stuff, sell her house, get all of her affairs in order. And I had to do all of that by myself and figure out how I'm supposed to do all of that. Because she had no idea that it was coming. She didn't know that she was going to pass. She didn't think it was as bad as it was. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, it's worse than we thought. And then it was just nosedive, So she did not she had no preparation.
Wow.
And so it's just even after she passed, having to go back and forth to move her stuff and sell the house and everything. I feel like I was spread so thin. And then with the emotional side and trying to deal with all of that, it's hard to just sit down and paint a pretty picture, when you're grieving. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I'm kind of moving on from that and getting back into it. And I'm generally a very happy person and most always in a creative mood. So it's just when I get those curveballs, it kind of knocks me down for a minute, but just time.
Yeah.
Gotta get through it.
Yeah. You gotta,
totally understandable.
Yep. You just gotta soldier through the whole thing. Yeah. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
As we wrap this up, I want you to kind of talk about, we obviously talked about the show that you have at the A.R. Mitchell coming in August. That'll be from the 1st of August to the 29th. What else do you have going on between now and the end of the year?
Well, Resonance is the big show that I'm curating. And that one, I'll only be doing one piece for it, but that's kind of where I'm putting a lot of my attention right now. And we have currently, let me see, I think I've got like 48 artists who have agreed to do it, but I'm sure some of those guys will drop off. Possibly, who knows? But we've got some bigger names this year that I'm really excited about. And Resonance is a show where we pair A.R. Mitchell's artwork or photographs from the early 1900s with artists from all over the country, and they will take the photo and use it as a reference and create something from it in their own style. Yeah, we've just had a lot of success the last few years, and this year is my first year taking it on, not completely by myself, but curating it and having Cody give me more free reign on it. And It's a lot, but it is a great lineup and it's a good time. So I am super excited. And that show is, I think it's October 3rd this year. Yeah, October 3rd at the Mitchell Museum that will open.
It's
And
always a magnificent show. So I'm super
yeah,
excited to see who all you've invited and put together in this particular.
yeah. We've got some Colorado artists this year that are so normally like we kind of had the same people for the first 3 years. There'd be some people, new people would come in, some would drop off, but we had a lot of the same people, and I feel like they weren't as excited about it as the years went on. I feel like you get so excited and they come with a big piece, and then as the years went on, their pieces got smaller and smaller. And I know that probably a lot is because of the economy and wanting to make sure that the piece sells. But last year, I was looking at the walls, and I was just like, every piece looks like a mini. And the Mitchell Museum, as you know, is such a massive space, and we have this great wall space, and all of the pieces were just, the same size all the way across. And I was like, man, we need more variation. I need to get newer people in here who are going to be more excited and do some bigger pieces, and not all just paintings as well. We've got Brenna Kimbrough, who is from Oregon, and she does paint, and she is going to do a painting. She's also going to do a sculpture, and she does horse sculptures in like driftwood, but she also will do giant driftwood bronze sculptures, which are just insane because they really look like they're driftwood, but they are bronze. And I would assume she's not doing a bronze for this, but I'm sure it'll be like a giant driftwood piece. She was even talking about maybe doing a full-size horse,
Wow.
which that will be insane. We've got beaters, we've got jewelers. So there's going to be just a nice variety. It's not all paintings this year. And we've got Maeve. I think she was on, you guys have an episode with her. Hopefully I'm not butchering her last name, Maeve Eichelberger.
Yeah, Maeve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to do a saddle because we have Mitchell took some photos of Pancho Villa's saddle.
Oh, wow.
So I can't wait to see
That'll
what
be
that's
cool.
going to look like. It's going to be amazing.
That
So
will be cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I can't wait to see what you put together and this rendition of Resonance. That'll be spectacular, I know.
yeah, but it's going to be good.
Good.
Anything else that you want to talk about, promote that you have coming up?
Um, Not really. I've just got some little shows going on here and there. But I don't know. I just recently got picked up by Mountain Trails Gallery in Sedona,
Oh, nice.
that I'm super excited about. So they will have work from me in the next few months as soon as I'm done with the show at the Mitchell and Cody's gallery. And then I don't know, it's kind of about it. I'll probably be doing some festivals, but I'm not really sure. I haven't quite committed to them yet. So I don't know. You might see me in Durango. You might see me in Albuquerque.
Nice. Yeah.
What other galleries can people find your work?
Currently just Cody Keel's Keel Fine Art. Currently, I think that's the only one that I have work in right now. I also, the Plainsman Gallery in Dunedin, Florida, they have my work sometimes, but they don't currently have anything. And then soon, Mountain Trails, Sedona.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We ask this question almost every single time to the artists that we have on here, but do you have a mantra or a motto that you live by?
Yes, kind of. I always tell people you have one life. Whenever I tell people to, just like, I have so many friends who are always complaining to me about their life. And I'm like, well, what are you doing then? What are you doing about that? Like, you have one life. Why are you still living this then? Like, if you're unhappy in your life that you're in, go do something else. Because I mean, a lot of us are in our 40s and you're nearly halfway through, you're probably halfway through life. But again, you don't know for sure because, and I think the reason I live that way is because my dad died at 30 years old. I have lived way longer than him. And so you really never know what's going to happen to you. And why be unhappy? Why be in a miserable situation? You have one life, get out there and do what you want. If you want to be an artist, make it happen. If, just start creating. If you want to travel, go travel. Stop saying, I'm going to do that when I'm older. I'm going to do that when the kids are grown, whatever it is. Go just live your life because you might not be there later.
That's right.
And I just thought of something also. I have a lot of pieces online at the Broadmoor galleries right now. So that's a huge one that I forgot for some reason. Yeah.
Fantastic. Wes, you have anything else that you want to know?
No. Well, I do have one question. If you could have one Charlie Russell painting, do you know which one that would be? Do you have a favorite?
I do, and I don't know that I can think of the name of it. I think it has Royal in the name, like the Royal or something like that. And it's because when I was in 5th grade, and I think the state of Montana owns it, or it's somewhere in Montana, the museum got to buy it, or maybe it was, yeah, the museum got to keep it. My class in 5th grade bought a square. They were selling it by the square inch. And I heard about this and I was like, oh my gosh, the Charlie Russell Museum is trying to keep the painting at the museum. They don't want to have to sell it. We need to have a bake sale. And so I organized a bake sale and Mountain View Elementary in Great Falls was able to buy a square of that piece. I think it had the Royal in the name. It was a big elk. There's the elk standing there. It's a huge painting. And there's an elk, and I believe there's Square Butte is in the background. Like it's kind of near Great Falls is in the background, and probably that one.
All right. I will research it and try to find it.
Yeah.
And then we'll confirm it.
Yeah.
And then we'll put it on social media. How's that sound, Todd?
Good.
That sounds good. I like that idea.
Yeah. His stuff is amazing. I used to look at his books all the time. Harvey Dunn, South Dakotan, A.R. Mitchell connection. But Charlie Russell he's an amazing guy. Remington was amazing. So I love that kind of stuff. But I really appreciate this discussion. It was great. It was interesting. You're an interesting person. And I thought it was I really enjoyed this. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on our show. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me.
I second what Wes said. It was really nice to connect with you. And this has been a really enjoyable couple hours just talking about your work and hearing your story. So thank you for allowing us to spend time with you.
Well, thank you guys so much. And again, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Again, don't forget to follow Sarah on Instagram at Sarah Boston Fine Art and check out Sarah's stunning work at her website, sarahbostonfineart.com. And you can see Sarah's work in person August 1st through the 29th at Keel Fine Art in the A.R. Mitchell Museum, where she is showing with our friend Cody Keel. And mark your calendars for the Resonance show, Resonance 2025 at the A.R. Mitchell Museum, curated by Sarah, that runs from October 3rd through December 26th. As always, I will have all this and more in this week's episode notes. For the Tenant Podcast, I'm Todd Pearson.
And I'm Wes Brown.
Have a great week.